Welcome to the Headley Highlight Show's Headley Headspaces, and this headspace is called Is Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker of the House, secretly Q from 007, or did he get a call from Keir Starmer's burner phone and he said, Lindsay, I got a job for ya? So before I jump into is Lindsay Hoyle Q from 007, or was it that Keir Starmer's burner phone called him and said, Lindsay, I got a job for ya? Let me say thank you to everybody who listens to my show, comments, likes and shares, who subscribes. I've got 2,300, I think it's in 31 subscribers. I want to get to 2,400 subscribers with your help, darlings. Please do like, share, comment, leave a donation. I'm partial to 3 rings and chips and a Miranda, as well as a bit of Bitcoin. Let's jump all over this, shall we? Let's hear from Lindsay. I have got form Hoyle.
Members will be aware of comments in the media regarding the arrest of Lord Mandelson. To prevent any inaccurate speculation, I'd like to confirm that upon receipt of information that I felt it was relevant, I passed this on to the Metropolitan Police in good faith, as is my duty and responsibility. It is regrettable this rapidly ended in the media, as this is a live investigation. Members will understand that it would not be appropriate to make any further comment, and I'd like to caution members from doing so.
Really, Mr. Hoyle? Mr. I've got form Lindsay Hoyle. So let me tell you why I said, and Lindsay, I've got form Hoyle. To me, this just doesn't smell right. And I thought that Lindsay Hoyle was possibly Q from 007 getting tip-offs while in the Isle of Wight on a family holiday. I thought that was somewhat incredulous. I just didn't sound right to me. I don't know about you. So let's stop laughing, Denise, and give some context. So basically, Mr. Pete, the only bit of the news that's there is this whole situation with the Epstein files. Okay, so that's what's dominating the news in various different ways. And what's happened is, I understand that Mr. Lindsay Hoyle, whilst on a trip to the Isle of Wight, when was the last time you even heard that jurisdiction mentioned in the mainstream? Whilst on holiday to the Isle of Wight, he received a tip-off. Yeah? So the question is, what circles was Lindsay moving in the Isle of Wight to say that Mr. Mandelson was possibly a flight risk? Mr. Mandelson was a flight risk, and he had plans to abscond to the Virgin Islands, which is also a British territory, presumably with an extradition treaty, so that he could not face any inquiry and investigations into the relationship or the questions around misconduct in public office. Now, let's bear in mind, Mr. Mandelson has not been charged with anything. However, he was arrested and he was released on Tuesday. So, now my understanding is that Mr. Mandelson, this is an indication of his power, yeah? He had an appointment, okay? An appointment to go to the police station in March, right? His solicitors are Mishcon and Rear, and Mishcon and Rear are a very famous solicitor group who represented Princess Diana in her divorce and her dealings with the royal family. So they're up there with very important individuals who handle high net worth individuals and important people. Now, if he had an appointment to go in March, why was he then arrested on Monday evening? And I think one of the reasons that the arrest took place, in my humble opinion, is because the Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince, he was arrested and Mandelson was not. So I think there was that additional pressure. And I think as we go through these emails, we learn more and more about the debauchery of this group, and it's just blowing a lot of people's minds, and they're saying, well, how come this is happening? You have to do something about it. So that, I think, is a factor. But the point for me is that he had an appointment to go and see the police to help them with their investigations. But that was circumvented by the tip-off from 007 Q's Lindsay Hoyle in the house. Yeah, so is Lindsay Hoyle Q from 007? And it just doesn't sit right with me. And I'll tell you why it doesn't sit right with me, okay? The first time I heard about this story, I said, this stinks of sawfish, okay? It smells high, all right? You know when you walk into the room and as soon as you walk in, the smell just lash you in your face and your throat and your nose is burning and water's streaming from, your eyes. This doesn't seem right to me. How come Lindsay Hoyle got a tip-off about Peter Mandelson? From whom? And I'm of the opinion that he got it from Keir Starmer's burner phone. And Keir said to him, I've got a job for you, because Lindsay Hoyle is not some figure who doesn't have a blemish on his record. No, do not forget what happened with the S&P motion. Shall I take you back, darlings? Let me do that for you. Because as I said, it's Lindsay I got form Hoyle. Let me give you some of the form. So if you're not clear what I'm saying Lindsay Hoyle was being used, okay? And somebody was using Lindsay Hoyle for their own benefit because they wanted Mr. Mandelson, in my opinion, more rattled than he currently is. And who is the beneficiary of that? I think it's Mr. Starmer, the granny harmer. Because as you can see, all roads don't lead to him, and he'll do anything to ensure that that's not the case, irrespective of the previous relationship, because, what happened before is not what's happening today. Let me take you back to 2024. The Scottish National Party submitted an Opposition Day motion asking Parliament to call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and Israel, including ending what it saw as collective punishment. Now, Opposition Day motions, they are non-governmental parties, they get to pick the topic, and only one amendment is usually selected for the vote. So what did Lindsay I've got form, I'm allegedly Q from 007, what did he do? I think he's a tool, basically, and this is what he did as a tool. What he did was the Labour's amendment was debated and voted on alongside the original S&P motion, which was not a usual parliamentary convention. And because of that, Labour was able to insert immediate humanitarian ceasefire. Because of that choice, the procedural choice, the SNP ended up not having their original motion even being originally tabled. So that's what I'm saying. Lindsay Hoyle is not this character of, he's being perceived as somebody who is a shield and buckler for the people in this, the victims in this situation. No, people, he's a tool. Okay, let me give you a few more things. He's faced parliamentary scrutiny over his extravagant trips. Yeah. He's gone to Gibraltar, the Cayman Islands, Japan and Canada, totaling tens and thousands of pounds, and he was criticised for that. He appointed a former Gibraltar lobbyist as an advisor and gave him a parliamentary pass, which allowed him to access areas of Westminster. That drew scrutiny that the individual had previously organised trips for Mr. Hoyle. He's faced criticism for impartiality decisions. Don't forget, he didn't let Diane Abbott speak in a motion that directly affected her, and he sat there and he did it. He is a tool, the public and parliamentary, in my opinion. Don't forget, I just told you about the Gaza situation. He was also involved with using threats to MPs to I can't remember basically what it was, but he used that as a space to misdirect the conversation about questions about harm, and I think that was in relation to Diane Abbott. Then you've got him now suddenly taking on the role of Q from 007, receiving tip-offs, while he's on holiday in the Isle of Wight. Who organised that? Did the public pay Mr. Hoyle? I'd like to know. In my opinion, this is for entertainment purposes only, but just we'll be checking the expenses record. But the long and short of it is, he's not some shield and buckler that everyone needs to start saying, oh, Lindsay, you're doing such a good job. Sorry, It doesn't make sense to me. Why would anyone be talking to Lindsay Hoyle about Mr. Peter Mandelson? You know, not being funny. He is someone who just follows orders so he can, in my opinion, get certain outcomes. And I've just given you a litany of what they are. So, no, yeah? This thing stinks of fish, okay? Smells like sawfish to me. And I don't know what your opinion is. Give me your thoughts, your 2 pence, your 3 cities, or your declining dollar price. But sorry, it's not working for me. Lindsay Hoyle is Q from 007 getting tip-offs from burner phones. I think's not. This is what I think. I think Keir said to him, Lindsay, love, I got a job for you. And cut! In my opinion. Don't forget to donate, like, and share. And make a donation at DeniseHeadley.com. See you next week. Thank you for your listening ears. And I forgot to play you a bit of audio. The reason also I forgot to say this, yeah, because I'm rushing, I got to hurry up and go out, yeah. But the long and short of it was, there's this piece of audio, because what Mr. Mandelson is saying is the following, and he's using his bugles in the press for it. So hear this little, before I have to rush out the door. You're about to listen to Emily Maitlis and John Sopel from the news agents, and she's quoting Peter Mandelson's word because of her contacts. This is what I'm talking about. You know, the press in bed with the establishment, they become the bugle. You know what I'm saying? Here we go. Emily and co.
Own words. And this is what he told the colleague. Despite previous agreement between police and the legal team over voluntary interview in early March, police arrested me because they claimed the Lord Speaker received information that I was about to flee to the British Virgin Islands and take up permanent residence abroad, leaving Reynaldo, his husband, my family, home, and Jock, his dog, behind me. I need hardly say complete fiction. The police were told only today that they had to improvise an arrest. The question is who or what is behind this. Now, I understand that this was sent around 4 a.m, approximately 2 hours after he'd been released from police custody. And the tenor of that sounds as if he is saying the police arrested him because they had a tip-off that he was going to flee. I mean, none of that really makes sense when you pull it apart, because the idea of him fleeing to the British Virgin Islands, which is obviously somewhere within a UK jurisdiction, within an extradition treaty, doesn't really sound logical. But it is interesting, that last line, Peter Mandelson's own words, the question is who or what is behind this. He is doubting the integrity of the arrest itself. He's doubting the integrity of the police investigation from the sounds of it, because he doesn't think that that was what he had previously agreed, which was a voluntary interview sometime next week.
I think what you have just read out there, Emily, is utterly jaw-dropping. That at 4 o'clock in the morning, why would you start briefing against the Metropolitan Police when you have just emerged from being arrested? Doesn't that just muddy the waters? I suppose my other reflection, and there's no implication of guilt, no charges have been brought against Peter Mandelson, it needs to be underlined. The criticism always of Peter Mandelson when he was in government, he was an effective ambassador, but he couldn't stop talking about what an effective ambassador he was and what an effective minister he was. And here we have him sort of seemingly spinning now over an arrest, and you'd think there is a time for silence and letting the wheels of justice turn, because whatever the grounds for the arrest, the Metropolitan Police have it within their rights to do what they will. I find it very odd that Mandelson would think it was a smart thing to do to start a briefing war against the Met at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Give me your 3 pence, your 4 cities, or your declining dollar price. And cut!